Alright, so how's it going everyone? In today's video, I will be doing something a little different than normal. So as I said in my previous few videos, I have not been getting time to do an actual gameplay commentary. So I thought why not do a tutorial on how I make my montage thumbnails. So if you guys remember, I had made this one for my Montero montage. If you haven't seen it already, link will be in the description. And so this looks pretty professional, and I mean, today I'll be showing you how you can actually make this, and it is not too difficult. So for this tutorial you're gonna need two things. One is Adobe Photoshop. So I have Photoshop opened up right here. You can try doing this on Photopea, but I am not really sure if it's possible or not, so you'll have to test it out yourself. Then the other thing you need is a replay mode to get a screenshot like this. So a screenshot is basically the main thing for the thumbnail, and if you don't have a good screenshot, might as well not make the thumbnail. So moving on, I already have my screenshot, which is the same one I used in this. So for the screenshot, I won't be showing you how you can take screenshots, but I can surely give you a few tips on it. So first, turn your FOV down to around 50 or 60, somewhere in that range, so that most of your screen is occupied by your main character, and in the background it should not look weird, because with high FOV only a small portion of your character is showing and you can only see the background in that. And the second thing is to add some camera tilt to make it look real good. So like in this, the camera is tilted slightly, so it looks like my character is on an angle and it makes it look more cinematic. So that's all for the screenshots. Now moving on to the actual tutorial, we have our thing right here. So what we should do is just quickly make a duplicate of this layer, and we want to cut out our main character so that it's on a different layer completely, and it is not affected by whatever we do on the background layer. So I'm quickly gonna rasterize this layer and draw out pretty broad, it doesn't have to be very accurate, mask of our character, like so. That's done. Wait, I'm just gonna make it slightly better. You can also use the lasso tool for this, but I personally prefer polygon tool because I don't know, I find it better. So quickly gonna press Ctrl X, delete that layer, paste it again, and you can see it's come up here, but it's not correctly aligned, so we're just gonna align it properly like so. And even if it's slightly off, it doesn't really matter. So like this is absolutely perfect, and to see if it's correct or not, you can just check and uncheck this. So we can see it's slightly towards the left, so I'm gonna move it towards the right. Then what, after you have put it in the correct place, you can just turn off your background layer and you can see your top layer, and you want to remove all this excess part because that just does not look good, and you want to have a real tight mask of your actual character. And if you want, you can also add the bridge. I personally like to add the bridge. So to do this, there are three ways. One is using the quick selection tool, and you can just select that and draw, or you know what, color over the portion you want to actually select and cut out. So yeah, that's done, but this does not always give the best result. So like you can see, it's selecting extra bits here, it's not selecting the complete portion over here. So I don't prefer doing this. Another method you can do is just right click here and select the magic wand tool, and this can be used to remove major chunks like how I am doing it. The third method, as I said, is using the polygon select tool. This is a little time consuming, but it gives the best result in my opinion. So quickly just make an outline and try to keep it as close as possible, but even if it's slightly off, it doesn't really matter. Yep, so I'm done with the mask right here. I'm just quickly gonna, you know, delete all this portion which I don't want. So you can see it looks pretty tight and it looks really good. And if I am to turn on my background layer, it looks real good in my opinion till here. Then what you want to do, so for a montage, if you just have to give it a very cinematic effect, like in here it looks very cinematic. So what you can do for that is to apply a photo filter to your background, not the actual character layer itself, but to the background. So select your background layer, go to adjustments and click photo filter. So you can see it gives like an orangish tone to the entire background. And what you can do to make it look better is to change the density according to your liking. So I personally like around 45, so it looks pretty good. So if I was to hide this, you can see how much of a difference it makes. Next, what we can do to make this look even better is to again select this layer and go on to adjustments and curves. So you want to make it slightly darker but not too dark. So you want to make it slightly darker in order to make your character pop out. So we can just, myself, I'm not really good with curves, but like so. Yep, so this looks pretty good in my opinion. And then what else you can do is to add some blur to the background so that all of the attention of the person looking at your thumbnail goes to your character. So, and the blur also serves as a purpose to show movement. So it basically gives the illusion that your character is actually moving. So you're gonna select this layer and we will be given two blurs. One is the radial blur and the other is what do you call it, motion blur. Yes, so we're gonna go into filter, go into blur, click on motion blur, and you don't need a very high angle. Like you can test the angles out and see which one you like, and you don't need a very big distance. So like 10 pixels looks real good, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And for the radial blur, we're again going into blur, click radial blur and put the amount from 1 to 3, because a lot of radial blur makes the background look very weird and we don't want that. So 2 is good enough. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Then what we can do is to, what do you call it, give an outline. Like in this one you can see there is an outline which is slightly lighter than the actual thumbnail itself. So for that we're just gonna select the layer, double click on the layer, and it opens up a layer style pop-up box, and we are going to go into inner glow. So just check inner glow and it will automatically give you this kind of a border. If it does not, you can copy my settings right here. I am just gonna increase the size by a little bit. Yep, that looks fantastic. So this gives a very good effect. This can also be used in thumbnails other than montage thumbnails. And next, what we're gonna do is to make this look better, we're gonna add some what do you call it, color to it. Like, am I supposed to say color, or just gonna make it look bright? Like over here you can see on the edge of my character I have made it slightly brighter. So for that, what we're gonna do is we're going to go to the quick selection tool, go on to our character layer and click select subject. So you can see it has selected the subject pretty well. You can use the quick selection tool to add the bits you want. So right here it's done a pretty good job. And we're going to quickly add a new layer on top and change the blend mode to soft light. Pick a very bright color on your screen. So like for me, I think this is a very bright color, so we're gonna choose this. Then use the brush tool to actually give like some brightness to it. So like this, and try to keep your brush tool to a very large size, so that it gives a very soft effect and it's not very hard. Because if I show you what a hard effect looks, it looks fine, but there is a very defined edge to it and we don't want that. So quickly just paint over your character a bit, and yeah, that looks pretty good. And try to keep it according to the light. So for me, the light is coming from this side, so I will just highlighted portions on the right, and over here I highlighted the portion just so that it looks as if the light is also falling on to this portion, like a little bit, not a lot. So we're done with that. And the next thing what we can do is to increase the vibrance of our main character. So we select our character layer, click on this right here, then go into vibrance and increase vibrance for your liking. It doesn't matter that the background color is getting weird, we'll fix that later. So this looks pretty vibrant, and once you have done that, you only want to apply it to this. So there are two ways to do it. You can just press Alt and click here between the lines, so it only applies to the bottom layer. Or what you can do is you can right click on the layer and just press merge down. So it will merge it with the layer beneath it and it will just apply to that layer. Double click on this layer and open the layer styles again and give it slight outer glow. So the outer glow should be on soft light, and choose a color of your liking, and it should be a color in the actual scene, so like green as I said here. And you can increase or decrease the size to your liking. I personally prefer to have a lot of light. And the blend mode, you can change the blend mode. So like hard light, it looks very visible, so I prefer soft light. Screen also works because it behaves like a light source with screen, but as I said, I like soft light, so I am just gonna use soft light, and that looks pretty good up until here. We're again gonna open the layer styles option and we will put some drop shadow. So drop shadow makes it look three-dimensional, and right here you can change the color maybe a bit. Don't use a bright color for drop shadow. We're just gonna use a very dark green. Yep, this looks pretty good. And keep the size to a little higher, because a small size is very sharp. The edge of the shadow is very sharp, like you can see it right here, so that does not look really good. And so just keep the size a little towards the higher side, and we are done with that. So for the last bit of this montage, you want to have some text, so that text should be the name of the song which you have used in the montage. So like in my case it was Montero, so it's right here. And you want to make that text into a slightly gradient color, because gradients obviously look better than a solid color, and the gradient should be an actual color in this scene. So like for me it's green and lime, so I just took colors from the scene. And we can quickly go into text. And another thing, you should have a very good font, or a font which you personally like. So the font I used was Bebes Nuevo. I have no clue how you pronounce that. Your text should be pretty visible. I mean, it shouldn't be like this small where it's not even visible. So you want to keep it at least, like for this font, I think 500 should be good. Yeah, 500. So it should cover at least some of your screen. Like this is pretty readable. And you want to drag this below your character layer, and maybe add some tilt so that it is aligned with our character. Like over here it's slightly tilted. Oops, it did not save. Yep. So slight tilt, and it doesn't matter if some of it is getting covered by your character, that just makes it look better. So we have it right here, and to give the gradient we're just gonna double click this layer right here and click on a gradient overlay. So click here and you can change the colors. Yeah, this is good enough in my opinion. And then wait, sorry, I just closed that by mistake. You want to change the gradient overlay, like the angle of the gradient overlay, to something of your liking. So in my case I really like this kind of a gradient overlay, so like the angle is towards this side, and this looks pretty good in my opinion. And the next thing that you want to do is again open the layer style and add some inner glow to this, and turn down the size by a bit so that it is just there for that effect, and it gives like a little outline to what your text actually has. And this looks pretty good. Okay, so that's done. Then what we are gonna do next, one second, I made this thumbnail a long time back, so I'm just gonna quickly see. Yep, so you are gonna add two more things. One is a drop shadow like we did for this, our character, and don't change much in the drop shadow, because if you change the angle it's gonna look weird. And keep the angle this, and then we're going to add an inner shadow. This is your personal preference, the inner shadow. So like it looks fine to me. I'm just gonna turn down the opacity to 20, size to here. So this is just personal preference. The inner shadow is personal preference. And what else we can do is, I guess, I don't know, you can tweak the thumbnail according to your liking. I like this thumbnail better. I am just doing this very quickly for the sake of the video, but this is basically how you do it. And if you want, you can just take a screenshot of this, what all I have done in this. And yeah, I think that is about it for the video. And if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. And I hope this video helped you out, and thank you for watching.